All right, Chaz, let's get right to it. You are in Philadelphia after the All-Star festivities. Wait, do I have to pay royalties to Brian for using that line? Has he
Well,
patented that yet?
if it's on a shirt, I guess, yeah.
It's been on a shirt. I feel like at this point, I have to use it because that's the way that I am going to open up as host, because that's what you do on Power Stacks. I'm Paul Dehner Jr. here with Charlie Goldsmith. I'm filling in for Brian this week. I'm here to do nothing but I am the home run derby batting practice pitcher for you today, Charlie. That's what I am.
What do you got on Dino Ebel?
I don't know, but I'm going to do my best Dino Ebel impression today. I'm just going to try to groove softballs middle to you so you can turn on them and send them into the Philadelphia night like Jordan Walker did, because I'm just trying to set you. Anybody that's getting the chalkboard, they've been reading it. They know all the nuggets you've been compiling out there. I'll start and throw it to you. First one right down the middle. Favorite thing from this week through a Reds lens?
I'll kind of go with the tangent, because you know what the highlight of the week kind of was? It was shaking Nick Martinez's hand and congratulating him on being an all-star. From what I've read and from what I've kind of heard from Tampa Bay people, he has done in Tampa exactly what he did in Cincinnati. And I think maybe the Reds kind of miss him a bit. There wasn't really a chance to re-sign him because their rotation was full on paper entering the season. And I think Nick wanted to start, and also the best opportunities in free agency for him were a starting pitcher or as a starter. But look at this guy. Like, he's a guy that'll be on Cy Young ballots on a team that's truly one of the best teams in the AL right now. It was the best quote of the week. He said, Nick told me this. He said, I was looking around the AL clubhouse, Verlander, Trout, Martinez. He said, I felt like George Costanza, the assistant to the traveling secretary. That was his vibe. You'll also appreciate this, Paul, just talking about, well, you'll appreciate half of this. Talking about his kids on the plane, just the little girls just being all over the place and trying to get it together. Now, the part you might relate to less is it was a private jet. But he was just talking about the week through their perspective, and that was a real highlight for me catching up with Nick.
Yeah, Nick Martinez, quite a success story. And you know what could have been, I guess, and wasn't, and whatever. I mean, did you get what impression did you get from him in terms of his view on how it ended in Cincinnati and what's happened for him in Tampa?
It was never really like, the expectation was always that Nick would find another team in 2026. Of course, it's turned out the Reds haven't had enough pitching, but this is just how free agency works. You look, you see Green, Lodolo, Abbott, Burns, Lauder, Singer, and Nick could have signed up to be a reliever. He ended up, of course, getting more than the Reds paid any single reliever, and that stuff's always going to be a part of it as well. Probably wasn't going to be the highest offer in Cincinnati, not the chance to start. He's now set himself up, and what I love about Nick is he bets on himself every single year. I don't think he's ever signed a multi-year deal that didn't include some sort of option or something. He's now set himself up to make like $20-25 million next season. And that's kind of what Nick does. And again, it wasn't really a fit with the Reds this year, but I can tell you firsthand, talking to a lot of the guys in the Reds clubhouse about Nick, everyone's fired up for him.
Great nuggets still to come. There's a ton more to get into and dig into from this week in Reds, this week in All-Star, and Sal Stewart and Chase Burns were there. Charlie talking with them plenty. Lots of thoughts on that. We're going to get into it. So welcome in to Power Stacks presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Do want to remind you all that the Reds are settling into the grind of the season. The lineup has found its rhythm. The pitching staff is trying to lock in, and game by game, the team tries to build momentum. That's baseball. You try to find your groove at Joseph Toyota. They don't wait to get hot, though. From opening day to the final out of the season, a team brings a game every day. Whether you're shopping for a new Toyota, upgrading your current ride, or looking for a dealership that delivers more than just a vehicle, Joseph Toyota is built to win. This is the home of lifetime powertrain protection, give the customers the peace of mind long after they drive off the lot. And with the Joseph Toyota Advantage Rewards program, every service visit helps you earn rewards so you can use them towards future maintenance, making ownership even more rewarding. So while the Reds are working their way through the 162 game season, their team is already in midseason form, delivering championship level customer service, unbeatable value, and benefits that keep paying off inning after inning. So thanks for listening to Power Stacks, proudly brought to you by Joseph Toyota, where every customer gets the all-star treatment. All right. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to, Charlie. I'm filling in for Brian here, and I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to be as polished and clean as Brian, but I try.
I want to say this. What I hope you do is I hope you keep me accountable.
Yeah.
If there's any pressing, like do your journalistic duties
Yeah.
here as you kind of dig to see what we've got here in my report on the All-Star week.
I mean, I'm not as close as you guys, but I'm close. Like it's not like I don't follow religiously. I don't watch. I'm not in it. I mean, I'm in it, and I feel like I understand the fan. I'm going to use the word toxicity right now
Mm.
because it just feels that way in this current moment. I understand that. I feel it. You could feel it in the ballpark. I was there Saturday with my daughter, and you could just kind of sense it a little bit. But I don't want to touch on. I want us to go into a lot of the news. We don't need to go there. There's a lot of other ins and outs. That's what I love about the stacks. I always get the nuance here, and so we're gonna get into a bunch of that. In your rundown, it's exciting. I'm not gonna lie. You sent it to me, and I was like, "Look, I have so many questions. There are multiple food nuggets in here that I cannot wait to hear you explain in depth." I won't start there. Um, I would ask you. Let's start at media day. And you talked a little bit about Nick Martinez. I know he was a part that. Take me inside the Sal Stewart and Chase Burns experience watching this through their eyes. Two first timers, two young guys, two rookies who are sitting there at the All-Star game.
Let's start with Burns because Burns ended up kind of being surrounded by a lot of friends, peers. The story I was most excited to write this week was about the 2024 draft class. You've got Bazzana was there. You've got Burns was there. Caglione was in the home run derby. Nick Kurtz is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Who doesn't get credit for that? He's an all-star. And then you've got Weatherholt, $100 million. Connor Griffin, $100 million. Like, it's insane. First, how many all-stars there already are from that class. Like, statistically, analytically, you look at how rare that is. And then just how many dudes there are in that class, even guys who weren't in the game. Kind of one of the biggest stories in baseball this season is, the Reds have Chase Burns, but, the Guardians are saying the same thing about Bazzana. I really enjoyed talking to each of those guys from the 2024 draft class about that. I talked to Bazzana, what a nice human being, more of an Australian accent than I realized. He's from Australia, but I just didn't realize the accent was that thick. That was very cool. I asked him about the class, and he said, "I'm so excited to answer that question." That's a first for me. Like, he was like, "Yes, I can't wait to talk about this topic." And he said, "Could be one of the greatest draft classes of all time." And he just then went through all the guys. Nick Kurtz, like I mentioned, like the best baseball player in baseball who no one talked about. He and Burns were at Wake Forest together in 2024. So, like, they're friends. They hung out on Sunday night. They talked to each other a ton in the pre-draft process about everything that each other was going through, kind of guys they could relate to in that sense. Talked to Burns about this. He said him and Lauder kind of always debate the top 10s of their draft classes. Lauder is from 2023. Lauder's class headlined by Paul Skeens, and then a bunch of guys who are kind of still younger in the minor leagues. But one like Wyatt Langford, he's a stud. You've got Max Clark, Dylan Cruz has debuted. Like, it was actually viewed at the time as this like generational draft class, this 2023 draft. Burns and Lauder debated all the time. Lauder's like, mine's better. Burns is like, his better. So I did take the question to Paul Skeens, who, by the way, has like cool dude. Like, I mean, it was just like a minute I had with him, but I thought he'd kind of be boring by the book, all that kind of stuff. He had a very, like, he turned it into a conversation with me and him where we rattled through the 2023 draft and the 2024 draft. And he said that the 2024 class was better. So talking to Bazana, talking to Kurth, talking to Skeens, those were kind of some of the highlights of the media day portion of things.
Can I ask you, I wanna here, I'm gonna do some journalistic due diligence here. A member of the 2024 class, JJ Weatherholt,
Hmm.
just signed a 8-year, $112 million extension with the Cardinals. Uh, should that be a template?
Of
Should
course. Of course
I
it should.
mean,
Now,
what's the reality of that conversation with Burns and Stewart?
I have nothing to report specifically on that right now, but what I can tell you is they tried, or they got it done with Green. They tried with Lodolo at the time. They tried with Ellie. They tried with McLean. They tried with Stevenson. Now, an issue is they've often been a little late in all of those processes. Year two, year three, talking extensions with these guys, and why that is may reflect something about an organizational risk tolerance. I like that. I just came up with, I'm going to use that a lot over the next
Use
few
it.
weeks. You'll hear that a lot on trade deadline of Palooza coming up.
Yeah,
Organizational risk tolerance.
yeah.
Make the shirts. The the Reds have in a lot of different ways not shown that, and why that is goes up and down the totem pole, and that's a conversation for another day. But I bet that's a part of why the Reds haven't been a part of the trend of extending guys at the very start of their career when there is still that limited information. Of course, I'd sign Sal, I'd sell Burns right, I'd sign Burns right now, and I can tell you the Reds know that there's not much risk with these guys. But I haven't heard specifically anything, frankly, on the extension front with Stewart and with Burns.
I mean, it's an interesting trend to consider as you start talking about, how many of these guys that you're ticking through in this 24 class would be willing to do that, and especially with what's the uncertainty of the financials of the league in 2027, how that play. Like, there's so many interesting tangents to that conversation. We won't go there because I do want to make sure we're focusing on everything that you were going through. Take me to home run derby was fun.
Hmm.
Um, I was not necessarily feeling Netflix. I was not necessarily feeling the format change until I saw it more, and I think it helps. This is very similar because remember Todd Frazier's year, and by the way, if you wanna have some fun and go back, I retweeted it. We did a My Favorite Game with Todd Frazier about a full deep dive rewatch into the 2015 Home Run Derby, and he was awesome. He told so many great stories that night. It was myself, C. Trent, Jim Day, and Todd Frazier. We did it down at BetMGM, and it was a great night. We showed the All-Star game, the home run derby first, and then brought him out and we talked about it. So it was really cool to kind of have just rewatch some of it even right there. If you want to, gets on the YouTube channel over on the Growler. You can go check that out at any time. But like that year, I remember Todd talking about how the change in format and how the strategy was going to be was a big part of it, and people were won over because it was such an electric home run derby. I think the same thing is the case here, right? Like what happened at the end with Jordan Walker using the magenta balls, and I saw your theory get disproven. You didn't think you weren't in on you thought the magenta
Dude,
balls were harder to hit.
you're not aware of the controversy. He didn't use magenta balls on two of the final swings.
Wait, what?
I know, right?
I did not know. I didn't notice that. I didn't see that.
The batting practice pitcher pulled the old switcheroo and threw him a couple
Oh,
of the white baseballs. I actually was
wow.
truly I actually made an effort to follow up with Jordan Walker about that specifically yesterday, but he ended up getting pulled in another direction. But that was this close to being in the chalkboard yesterday. An exclusive.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Breaking news. But either way, I think everybody's won over by the new format just by the nature of how exciting it ended up being at the end. Are you in or are you out?
Yeah, I prefer the old one, but
Yeah.
it was very cool. Specifically, just the way it played out with, and this it won't always be like this. It worked because of this, because it was the hometown favorite who went first. Like it had to be that. I guess it would have been cooler if Schwarber won it too, but what I'll remember the way the structure played out in such a cool way this time was because the hometown favorite was first. And I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking for the last day, like, because it felt like familiar, kind of the vibe in the stadium when it ended. and I've come up with it. I'm sorry to the Bengals fans listening. The way it played out truly now reminds me, as I think of it, of the Bengals Bears game from this past season. I know, oh, bad game, um, because they celebrated the win. Philly with Schwarber, like he had his final round was the best round that I'd seen all day at that time. Schwarber's final round, and like against the Bears, Flacco threw for 470 with a bad shoulder, and then sticks his arm up in the air, and everyone's going crazy and high fives. They're singing the fight song, "Let's Go Home." And Jordan Walker's having a bad final round. I had
Yeah.
actually moved from my press seat to the part of the ballpark where he had been peppering homers all night. I wanted a souvenir. And there were open seats. Who wouldn't do that? He wasn't getting it there. And the fact that he couldn't get it there, it's like, all right, this is over. Now he's built like a tight end. Like this is truly one of the more upper body jacked kind of guys in all of baseball. Like truly stunning. Um, it was over. Philly was like, yeah, Jordan doesn't have it. It was like we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. And then everyone also knew the whole like no one could hit the magenta ball. So he hits one and it's like, and then all of a sudden, boom. And it's like, like the Jordan Battle missed tackle against the Bears. Like all of a sudden, everyone's looking around like, did we just lose?
Yeah.
And it happened so quickly. It went from this celebratory win that we'll remember forever to we just lost. This stinks. And they're playing like the take me home sad music that they play at your sports games when you lose. Like the Reds play The Show Goes On. They're playing that music and everyone's filing out. And it was just stunned silence in Philadelphia.
Yeah. The Reds used to play the song called "I'm a Reds fan." That's what I am.
Oh, I very familiar.
Yes, and so that always used to be the joke about how it's a very celebratory song, like, "I'm a Reds fan," but when they played it after losses, it became like this very downtrodden, "I'm a
Meta.
Reds fan, that's what I am." They've now changed it, which I hope it doesn't I like that song, I don't want it to ruin The Show Goes On. But anyway, that's another side note. You have in here that you said you now understand Philly better, explain.
So like the story of the night really was all the booze. I mean, it was great. Um, so how and when they like I understand Philly better. You're either our guy or you're not. Like, for example, at the All-Star game, they cheered Kevin McGonigal because he's from Philly, like, and they know every single person and kind of their backstory and who and the knowledge from the fan base perspective really impressed me. You're either our guy or you're not. And if you're not our guy, you're dead to me. But then also with our own guys, it's either you get the job done or you don't. Like, there's no try in Philadelphia. It is just a pure results execution reaction. And really what set that in stone for me was when the kids in the outfield with the gloves did make a play, they got booed because they didn't make the play. It's just execution. Like
It's
there was
execution.
like an 11-year-old girl who let a ground ball get under her glove and they're booing her off the field. Hey, that's Philly.
That's Philly.
Some would call it ruthless, some would call it standard setting, but I feel like I understand. It really is just execution there.
I mentioned at the top of the show, multiple food nuggets that I have interest in hearing more about. You have this in the home run derby recap section, honey mustard chicken wrap with Brussels sprouts in it. Do tell.
So I mean, dinner time. Looking around the concourse with my press pass, I was lucky enough to, not lucky enough, but a part of it is you get to kind of like walk around the club area, and this was in the club area, kind of like a grab and go, but with like nice meals. They gave us gift cards to use in the stadium. Let's go through it. Honey mustard, chicken wrap with Brussels sprouts. And I think that was the key. Like I've had a lot of wraps in my day. I mean, maybe I just am not a cultured enough human being. I've never had Brussels sprouts in a wrap before as the base. Like think of it even as like a burrito almost. Like what if you went to Chipotle and instead of rice, you got Brussels sprouts? It actually worked really well. It worked
Huh.
really well. I think that's something that like all you listening who cook, because I can't cook, like try it out at home would be my advice. Like next week on Power Stacks, a cooking episode where we talk about all the different ways you could prepare Brussels sprouts and wraps.
Sure.
Not really, because I can't cook. But that is my idea that I'm taking from the All-Star game and hopefully paying it forward to all of you listeners.
I have a Brussels sprouts thought. Brussels sprouts to me now for my generation, to me
Mhm,
had one of the
mhm.
worst PR teams in the history of food. For somehow Brussels sprouts got all tied up and twisted into being like the most disgusting thing. Like it was the punchline for the thing that no kid or person ever wants to eat. But if you prepare Brussels sprouts well and do it right, like it's a legit top elite veggie. And somehow the PR got messed up back in the day. But now I feel like they've had a good turnaround. Maybe they fired their old PR team and brought in somebody new. I don't know exactly what happened there, but the vibe is much better around Brussels sprouts, and I like this idea. I've never done like a direct mix with honey mustard on purpose with the Brussels sprouts, but I think I'm going to now investigate thanks to this and see if I want to go that direction and try to recreate this myself for a nice tidy lunch. I like it.
Two more quick things on this, like honey mustard specifically. They've added a chicken finger section to the Reds media dining buffet area. So they also now just consistently have barbecue sauce and honey mustard for
Solid.
use. And so I've actually been having a lot more honey mustard recently because, like, I make a salad, I make a this, I make a that, side of honey mustard. And so, honey mustard, really, the versatility and underused nature of honey mustard is something that I've been thinking a lot about. They actually had a, like the ketchup spouts that you press.
Yeah.
They had a honey mustard spout
Oh, there
at
you go.
Citizens Bank Park. So I guess it's really big there. But one more thing too, I want to make sure I hit on is, like, I'm a hungry guy. The Brussels sprouts had a fillingness to them,
Oh,
to
okay.
where, like, I actually only ate half the wrap and I saved the other half to be my post-game snack. Think about
Oh,
that. Like, think about what you get bang for your buck, $20 at a ballpark. Like, usually you're getting this little wrap that doesn't even fill you up. The fact that I only ate half of that as my dinner shows you the bang for your buck you're getting from a filling and nutrition standpoint out of the Brussels sprouts as the base of that wrap.
I'm just having this vision now of coming over to your apartment where there's no silverware or anything like that, but there is a giant tub of honey mustard with the push down spout at some point. Like
Not a
this is
bad
my
idea.
vision. This is the
That's not a
next
bad
step for
idea.
you. This is
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help. All right, let's shift forward. That was good. It's one of what will be multiple food conversations here on this pod. We'll get to another. And I know people are like, "Yes, I wanted more of that." Uh let's move on to this and let's do only the best thing that Charlie saw this week, presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Let's get into All Star Day. What was the best of the best from All Star Day for you?
Let's go and yeah, like, yes to that, but also let me say only the best Stewart family member, and that would be Salvador Stewart, the dad.
Okay.
Um, I feel like this was Salvador's week as much as this was Sal's week. I loved and I didn't see Salvador specifically in his red carpet outfit, but he's got the shade. I saw the photo. He's got the shades on and the slick jacket. He looks like he's ready to play. And I mean, if you listen to the show, you know who Salvador is, a standout basketball coach in Miami who instilled the Sal Stewart into Sal Stewart. I mean, literally, like, they do free throws, and Sal would have to run if he didn't get it or if he didn't make it. Excuse me. Young Sal in front of the high school team, Sal would be the one who shoots to decide if the high school team runs. So that's how Sal learned how to succeed under pressure. Stories from the Stewart family ping pong table, I'll tell another time. But, like, the big thing with this week is just the fact that Sal and Salvador would watch the home run derby and the All-Star game together every single year. And it was their thing, and it meant so much to him. And the thing that Sal, the kid, couldn't stop talking about this week was just family. Of course, he mentioned his mom and his sister. Allegedly, Sal's the third best free throw shooter in the family. It was a family week for Sal. And this was just so much to him about family. And it was as genuine. I mean, it's like that for everybody, but you could really feel that just with how much it meant for the whole Stewart family.
I think that is the thing that gets lost in these honors for players is that they don't care specifically for themselves. Like, of course they want to go, and of course it's cool, and it's a great thing. But I think for so many, from the perfect examples that you've talked about, Nick Martinez and his family going or whatever, all the way down to a young rookie, and you have your parents there. The sacrifices, it's very similar to I made it moment to draft day. Like, I think
Mhm.
it hits that same where draft day is, yeah, it's about the player, but it's about the family that helped them get there and the pride that they all have of being in that moment and the ability that those moments allow you to celebrate with them, which most sports moments don't because most of them are on the field. But in these, with the All-Star game, the festivities, what it is, like it really is for these players about being able to celebrate with the people that made all the sacrifices to help them get there or that are closest to them, that have pulled them through dark times or tough stories that have been part of their lives in the game. And like, and that can come anywhere, like you from Nick down to Sal or Chase. Like it can come from in any direction, but it means so much in that way. And that's what baseball does with their all-star game better than any other sport.
It's a
Like
great point.
the other sports don't really have opportunities or the space
Didn't
to
see Jimmy
celebrate
Burrow
that.
at the Pro Bowl.
No, no, it just happens, right? And they're trying to figure out ways to make it work. I just think, in the NBA, I'm sure tries and does in their own way, but like baseball does that better than ever. And by the way, as somebody who am very happy to say my kids have fallen in love with The Sandlot. Like I showed it to them. They're 9 and 7, and they love it. Like I think my youngest has watched it probably 7 or 8 times now at this point. When they pulled, she called 4th of July the Sandlot
That's
holiday.
cool.
Like
That's really
that's how
cool.
she views it. Like because that is what she now thinks of. So the fact that that happened, I cannot wait. She was of course asleep when it happened, but I cannot wait to show her the Sandlot moment. That was a big tip of the cap to whoever's idea that was to pull that out for the 250 All-Star game. That was awesome.
What I loved most about the Sandlot moment was two things. First, we see it all the time. Like the kids take the field and they get like a nice little autograph and a high five. Like what I'll remember the most from the Sandlot moment at the All Star game was just sitting in that for a while. Like I thought the length and how the game just stopped was a real
Yeah.
asset. And you're thinking about how these kids are getting real experience. Now, like I think the catch with Freeman was like pre-planned, and that's great. Um, there were a lot of moments that they thought of beforehand, but just the fact that they could sit in that moment and experience that moment for as long as they did, I thought that was actually the best part. Like now, whoever was in right field with Brandon Marsh is going to feel like they have a connection with Brandon Marsh. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Um, and I think I've got this right. So, of course, like in the Sandlot and the famous scene, we all know, like it's America, America the Beautiful. That's the name of the song, right?
Mhm.
And it's like the Ray Charles version that they use in the Sandlot.
Yeah.
Well, for yesterday, they used the version that Ray Charles sang live at the 2001 All-Star game. And I thought that
Yeah.
was cool.
Very cool. I want to ask you about something those of us watching at home sat up if we hadn't fallen asleep. And that was during an inning where they had Dave Roberts on the mic. They were asking him questions, and he's talking about Sal Stewart. And all of a sudden, he starts talking about how Sal just kind of, here comes this rookie all star, invites himself into the manager's
I know,
office
right?
and is like, tell me what you know, basically. Uh, did you talk to Sal about that, or did you get any more information on that? I know there's some stuff in the chalkboard for people to read more in depth about it.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, there's some story that you'll remember. Like, Burrow just ran into Belichick once and then just went and had a conversation with him, like before he was Joe Burrow. What I love most about this is that Roberts like remembered Sal from the playoff series.
Hmm.
Remember Sal pinch hits in game one late, draws a walk, flips his back. Great job, Sal. Game two, what does he have? Like 2 hits, 3 RBI. Like he showed up, he came to play, and he had a terrific game. And Roberts remembered that. And then, yeah, Sal walked into Roberts' office, said, "Give me something. Tell me anything. I want to improve." Sal said the content of the conversation is going to stay between him and Dave. He wasn't going to go there. Roberts told Fox during that interview where he revealed it that they hit on topics like what it means to be a competitor, getting people around you to play the game the right way, the standard Stewart sets. What Stewart told me about that conversation was, I wanted to see what he had to say. I'm just trying to learn the game and get better. It was great. I appreciate that he was able to talk. I could learn something. And then when he talked about how he could sense Robert's respect for his game, like that meant a lot to Sal. That was like the money quote from Sal where he was saying, it means so much knowing that he respects my game like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool to see, and really just more of the layers of why you believe in him and
I know.
his future.
Seriously, though, like
Yeah,
actually,
it
yes.
matters. I mean, it's season opportunity. A lot of times, I mean, across any sports, you see guys get these opportunities and they're gonna be focused on themselves or the moment for them or whatever, and just enjoying it, and or maybe like, just wanting to soak up celebrity stardom around whoever they're around with Mike Trout or whatever. But to be like, how can I make this useful? I have a plan and go in there and have
I mean,
the
that's a competitor
confidence to
right
do it.
there.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
competitor.
like that's a sign of the real stuff that differentiates people. We always talk about in the draft process in the NFL, you gotta find the guy that loves ball, and how do you figure that out? And people have like that's one of the biggest assets to any scout or evaluator anymore is anybody that can tell if a guy who loves ball or who loves what ball brings them. And like that's a great example of what a scout would write down and be like, loves ball, took the opportunity to try to soak up knowledge from Dave Roberts, recognizing it rather than soak up the celebrity of the moment.
But there's one more side of this too. Like, there's also a very arrogant way to go about that. That's like, hey, Skip, what are you seeing? Like, that's not Sal at all. Like, he goes in there and it's the competitiveness that brings him in there. But when he's in that room, it's very much like knowing who he is. I'm a rookie. I just need to listen. It's not about me, it's about you. And even in the clubhouse, like in different interactions, just with the Reds, you see this. Like, he knows his, not to say he knows his place, but like he knows what stage he's at. And then like he went in there being like, I want to learn. Like he's so open hearted about it, which is a really cool way to go about it.
What'd you think about the red carpet? Did you dress up? Did you feel like when you covered the red carpet that you needed to kind of live up? We see people that cover the Oscars or one of these red carpet affairs or the Met Gala. I mean, they have to dress up to go just to talk to these people. Did you change, or was it straight polo and khakis, the Charlie Goldsmith special?
Special. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't make it to the red carpet specifically. That was about 20 minutes across town. But I'm glad you
Uh,
asked that question. Because while I didn't get the red carpet, I got the soft brown concrete slab.
okay. Not as traditionally prestigious.
But fun because here's why. So we're waiting to get into the NL clubhouse for the pregame in the clubhouse kind of thing, interview stuff, and it's running late. That was a whole can of worms. But we're waiting to get in, and the players are coming here. So I don't get the red carpet. What I do get is literally all the All Stars just walking down the ramp, all dressed up, like except
Yeah.
it's just down the brown concrete slab. And I did notice one thing in particular. So, like, I learned something. Apparently, allegedly, like nobody's wearing ties anymore. Or
Yeah.
not anymore. Like, nobody was wearing ties.
Yeah.
But
Ties are out.
Sal and Chase Burns were wearing ties. I found that very interesting. Maybe they're the young guys bringing it like back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
All the way through the other side. But where, in a league where so many of the guys were wearing the fancy coat, white shirt, probably some sort of chain or something like some sort of accessory in the neck area that's not a tie. Sal and Chase were wearing ties. Bazana was wearing ties. I believe Murakami wore a tie. I barely saw that, but the fact that both the Reds guys did makes me wonder if, especially with how cool Sal is, ties are going to come all the way back around.
I'm too old for my opinion to matter, but I am staunchly in the no tie side. They need to stay away. That needs to just we don't want you don't need to bring that back. There's no need. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for anybody. I understand the need. I understand why people do. I understand the classic look. It's just uncomfortable. Let's live in a world where we don't do that to ourselves anymore. That's all. All right. Well, I have to make sure that before we leave this, I ask you about um, a PSA about soda machine awareness. You referenced this earlier. I need to know more. What exactly that means?
So it's 90 degrees. We come up, all the media, we come up from the clubhouse. We're back in the press box. Everyone's thirsty. Everyone's thirsty. It's 90 degrees. We were just in the hot. We went through the sun to get back to the clubhouse. And Philly has one of those, a million flavor soda machines where you press your,
Oh,
uh,
don't. I'm old here. I don't love it.
well,
It's a
I
lot of
love
work.
it. I love it.
It's
It's
a lot of
great.
work. I understand. I understand. I'm gonna sound so old here. I want it simple. I don't want to have to go up and think about it and have a bunch of buttons. I just want to give me the damn drink.
What
Okay.
if what if I told you that with probably 50 reporters or media members waiting to get their drink, this is our source of water
Yeah.
slash Powerade slash soda, whatever you want. He's mixing flavors. This one
Oh,
reporter who I could tell you more about off mic. He and then wait for it.
he's mixing.
He's complaining that they're out of the cherry splash
Bro.
because he wants the Dr. Pepper with multiple flavors to also have the cherry splash. So he brings on one of the cafeteria employee supervisors.
No.
Excuse
No.
me, you're out of cherry. And now she's opening up the machine. She's looking
No.
for the cherry. Dude, what are you doing? This
We
is
just
how enemies are made.
water.
Yeah, water,
We need
literally.
water. And my man's over here like, "Oh, let's see if we can mix can I get some help over here?" And I can just imagine the discussion and the eyes being made with people in this line amongst the 50 that are
Oh yeah.
standing behind him in line waiting. Dude, that would be there's no way that everyone just sat there and silently took that one on the chin. Someone had to have spoken up.
No. Now the
No.
reason why I'll tell you later, but that's
Oh,
not for this show.
everybody was too kind. That's wild. Um, that's a good PSA. Understand that you gotta read the room. People need water. Just get in and get
Water,
out.
literally.
Sometimes your order being exactly correct and having whatever you want matters. Sometimes speed and an understanding of what's happening in the situation matters more. Just get whatever's
What's
easiest.
funny is you should have seen the look on this guy's face too, like as he was like going through like the cherry, like he literally was like a 5-year-old, like, oh, I'm gonna go with the vanilla Diet Coke and the cherry Dr. Pepper. And he's got this innocent look on his face, like, this is so much fun. This is cool. No, it's not cool. I'm
Uh,
dying.
Unbelievable. All right, let's wrap up with a few. I've got a couple quick questions I want to throw at you. We can kind of quick round this thing. Um, the latest Reds news, Lodolo, the blister goes to IL. How like what next?
Yeah,
Where are
that's the
we
funny.
at?
I
Where
don't
are we
know. Nick
at?
Nick doesn't know. They thought they found something. Now they need to find something else because this didn't work. And you wonder if Terry Francona kind of downplayed this, but you wonder if he's just going to have to either add another pitch or get rid of the pitch or change the grip or do something like that because it's the curveball that
Yeah.
snaps and makes the blister. And it's been 5 years now. And I think you felt the frustration like, do we need to do something more drastic now? Now, on the bright side, Louder will just step in and join the rotation. But like, what the heck does Rhett Lauder do? What the heck does Nick Lodolo do? Is now a very existential question. That's a very big deal.
Yeah. I mean, a huge deal, especially, and I'll be interested. Trade deadline at Palooza will be coming up soon. I mean, Lodolo's name is an interesting one in part of that
Well, he
conversation. Just
was.
was before
He's not.
this.
He's not anymore. That's the thing.
Yeah,
This
because
now.
people are scared to death of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is it's fascinating how how that has turned. Um, I want to ask you, futures game was this weekend. Alfredo Duno in there. He's moved up. Um, he claims he's very close, right? I know this is what guys say, right? What is the timetable on him realistically?
It's an existential question. Let me ask this to you, Paul. You're in touch with the Reds fan psyche, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Pretty rare standout profile as a bat. Like, he can hit. Would you rather it take 2 years, 2.5 years maybe, for him to be called up as a catcher and maybe then even spend his rookie season as the backup catcher? But there are only like 15 good catchers in baseball. So you might have a chance to have a little bit of a superpower here. Or call him up next summer and he's a DH first baseman, which, I mean, you can find guys like Nathaniel Lowe kind of every year. So it's much less of a premium position. Which path would you rather take? He's much more valuable as a catcher. I don't know if he can catch. It'll take some time, or just call him up to hit. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'd probably rather the long game. I mean, he's what? How old is he?
Like 20,
Yeah,
21.
I mean, he's still a what? He's 22 when he comes up in 2 years. Like I want the long game on that with that position. I just feel like there's always seems like there's so much turnover there. Um, so yeah, yeah, that's where I stand with it.
I will say there's no like guarantee that it'll all click for him defensively, but they're giving him that chance. One more thing I want to say in this segment is I know he's your guy. Like, Hector Rodriguez is about to be one of the main characters of the second half of the season. He's coming.
Yes, finally, it's happening. Been
It
seeing
would have
that for
happened earlier. Like, roll your eyes. Like, they just haven't had a spot for him. I know
yeah.
theoretically they would, but when you're splitting time in right field between Marte and Steer, and you're splitting time at DH between Suarez and Lowe, like, there just hasn't been a spot for him yet. I think the trade deadline will change that.
Yeah, bring him up and let's see what he's got. Where defensively still work in progress would be the
Let's see.
nice way to put that. Yeah, let's see
Let's
what it
see.
looks like. But at least he can. I mean, the dude can hit.
He can hit.
There's no debating that. That was apparent when I was in Chattanooga last year, and it's been very apparent as he's been bombing the ball down in Louisville. All right, last parting shot from you. Do you have anything else you'd like to go out on?
Two more things. First, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Reds draft strategy? They keep adding this same archetype. They've had underrated, like, good draft success recently, but I'm just wondering what you've thought of that. They drafted a standout, dynamic, but flawed hit tool type of guy in Justin LeBron in the first round, and then kind of a shortstop, but really more of a bat infielder, Eric Becker in the second round.
I mean, I am comfortable with taking all the short. Like I do feel like it is true. Like it's sort of in the same mold of when guys are moving from high school to college or like they play the same positions. When you go up the top players play the top positions. They're going to be shortstops and pitchers or whatever. Like they can convert. If you can play shortstop at a high level, you can play a lot of places at a high level and you can be a utility guy. You can play second, you can probably play third, you can move to center. Like we've seen this happen so many times that I don't really mind that. I would love to see some big college bats enter the system or whatever, but I don't have a deep thought on necessarily that, but I'm very comfortable with the versatility that comes with being somebody who comes up as a shortstop for sure.
Two more points, and then that'll exhaust my list. The Reds in the 17th round straight up drafted Northwestern's quarterback, Jack Lausch. Do you remember Jack Lausch? Do you ever see him or anything? I mean, they weren't good. Not like you were watching Northwestern games.
I was not watching a lot of Northwestern unless I wanted to have something to say to you.
Like he like, give him credit. Like, in a game at Wrigley Field, he led Northwestern down the field in the second quarter to take a 7-0 lead over Ohio State, over number 2 Ohio State. They brought in a transfer. He competed. He lost the job. Then he went full-time to baseball. And I mean, not to hype up a 17th round pick, but really interesting because he's 21, like he's older, but he's played so little baseball over the last 3 years that there's like still development there and the athletic tools are there. Like, he's the kind of guy, think of like kind of like your classic run first college quarterback. Didn't have the most
Mhm.
gifted arm, but like he could lower his shoulder and also make true plays. And that translates in center field. That shows some power you have. And I'll be interested to follow his career. Also talked some Bengals with Kyle Schwarber yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah,
He's a fan, right?
and
He's
they
in.
got
He's gotta be in.
big, and that was my question. I was like, Kyle, like, how big of a fan are you? And then he's talking about finishing games and similarities with the 2021 team. And
Would there be discomfort with Kyle Schwarber showing up as a ruler of the jungle,
I
considering that
think
he
that
didn't win?
I know what you mean, but I think he'd be perfect.
Yeah, do it.
But I know what you mean, but he'd be a
Yeah.
perfect one.
He's a fan, right?
Yeah,
Uh, 1 round later, by the way, another quarterback, college
yeah.
quarterback, potentially Matt Ponatoski from Moeller, who is a commit to play baseball and football at Kentucky. They're gonna try to talk him out of doing that. We'll
My
see. I don't I
guess
don't I don't
is
know if
it's
that I don't know
like
if that round is high. I feel like he would need to be drafted higher for that, right?
My you so like
It's his decision.
usually the 18th to 20th round picks mostly don't end up getting signed. And like I'm not saying this about Matt at all. This isn't I don't think the case with Matt. But like a lot of times it's well, if our fourth round pick like fails as physical, then we can use that money for this kind of 18th round pick we don't expect to sign. I don't think that's the case with Matt, but that shows you how you kind of like take these weird chances and they often don't pan out in the 18th to
Yeah.
20th rounds because they end up going with another option. I bet the sell to Matt is, hey man, we know you, but I bet you weren't thinking about playing for the Reds. So like when
Yeah.
you committed to Kentucky, I bet the Reds weren't what you were thinking of. So if you want to play for us, we're here. If not, I can give you a bunch of examples of guy or one really, but like think of a guy that the Reds drafted at the very end of their draft like 5 years ago. Then 3 years later, they drafted him again, and now he's in high A for them. So
Yeah.
establishing a relationship and giving him the shot. Hey man, if you want to play for the Reds, we're here.
Love it. All right. That wraps us up. Great stuff. Charlie, you have a flight to catch to get back home. And then we're gonna get back in the mix doing some more stuff. We're on the growler. We're almost here. 2 weeks from today, as we record this,
Wow.
is the first practice of training camp. So I'm excited about that. Mock Turtle Soup around the corner. We have one last. We're gonna do a look back. We've been thinking a lot about the 2021 Bengals. And so we're gonna go back and go deep into that next week. We have training camp previews, all that stuff is coming. It's all right around the corner. Excited for that. And of course, all the Reds coverage continues to roll on here. A special episode in the works in the future. Trade deadline Palooza is coming your way too. Lots of good stuff is happening.
Trade deadline Palooza. You forgot the
Palooza. I kind of like snuck through that. I didn't quite enunciate that all the way. You're right. Got to make sure we get that exactly right. That's the difference. You're not going to get that same level without Brian. Like I'm just filling in here. Hopefully, I threw enough middle for you to hit enough homers today. I loved it. Great job. As always, look forward to seeing you back in town. And thanks everybody for watching and for listening. We'll talk to you next time.